Hey, loungers. I hope everybody is doing as great as I am on this beautiful Sunday. Listen, guys, we're not going to be very long today, but I did want to get into a bit of a conversation today in regards to what the conversation was between S. Hutchinson, aka Shelly, over in the beef sector, and Brooke Valentine, who, as we know in our sector, has been dating Pillz, which is, Officer Pillz from our sector, okay? The reason I want to discuss this is because, child, this conversation was fucking crazy, okay? I most definitely listened in to the members only last night, and I am going to be highlighting some of those comments that happened in that conversation. And I'm also going to put a link to Shelly's channel so that you guys can go over there and check it out for yourselves. It is 99 cents to pay for a members only and to listen in on the recordings that took place between her and Brooke, where she was actually discussing Pillz and her and their relationship, okay? It was fucking nuts. And we are definitely going to highlight that today. We're also going to talk about Kips' fucking return to the sector, okay? And how he has recently come back and had some conversations in regards to Grown Man and some other things going on with Shakim and those things. And I'm going to give you guys my commentary on that. And we're also going to talk a little bit more about this Trump alleged shooter that happened yesterday. I did do an upload yesterday in regards to my initial thoughts on everything. And I have some other thoughts on those things today. So we are definitely going to talk about those things as well. Make sure that you guys are relaxed. Make sure you grab up some libations, something to drink, something to eat, or whatever, because we're going to be here for a second just discussing these hot topics, okay? All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into it now. Again, I appreciate all of you for being in the building. Redbone, definitely appreciate you always coming through and supporting the channel, and everybody that's in the clouds as well. Let's go ahead and start off with at least with the Trump shooter. I did want to get into that story because I think that it's crazy. Hey guys, I have my thoughts on this, and we're definitely going to get into this. Now, last night I did do an upload with you guys. I wasn't really ready to have a political conversation, but I did put an upload up in regards to some thoughts that I had on what some of this may be, right? Is this a play on the American people, or is this, really a warning shot that was sent out to Trump, right? I'm leaning towards the warning shot, really, to be honest, but, hey, no, who knows, right? Because quite a bit of this stuff that they're saying today just really does not make sense. And it's a lot of different people in different locations that are saying different things. Hey, West Bank and Divine, appreciate you guys being in the building. But there's a couple of different news outlets that are giving, different information from each other, okay? Which is kind of why I missed the days back in the day where the news would wait at least 24 hours before they would release news to the public, right? They would make sure that they vetted information, that they got the information correct before they actually released information to the public. The American people used to be where we wouldn't know about things, especially if it was abroad, for at least 24 hours, okay? Or, maybe a little bit less, but, definitely information was vetted and information was checked out before they actually passed this off. And, people like Walter Cronkite and some others that used to be newscasters, they really prided themselves on that, making sure that they were giving accurate information to the people, right? At least to their knowledge, okay? So, nowadays everybody has access to Twitter, they have access to Facebook, they have access to everything. And so, your news is your news, their news is their news. And it's just, you got to kind of figure out which one's real and which one's not. Hey, me and mine, appreciate you being in the building, says. All right, but, the thing is that I really had a hard time yesterday believing that they so quickly shot and killed the alleged shooter of Trump yesterday. Okay, I really had a hard time believing that, and it was because of the amount of time that they claimed that it took to find this person, the amount of time that it took for them to take this person down, and then today now they're saying that they've actually identified the person, and that they didn't identify this person through through an identification. But hey, we unlock. I appreciate you, bro, being in the building. Not through an identification, but through DNA testing. Okay. So let's go ahead and read a little bit about this because this is fucking nuts. And if y'all believe this shit, I don't know what to tell y'all. Now, it says, who shot at Donald Trump? His name was Thomas Crooks, and he had not been carrying ID. So investigators used DNA to identify him, the FBI said. He was from Bethel Park in Pennsylvania, about 70 kilometers or 43 miles from the site of the attempted assassination, and graduated in 2022 from Bethel Park High School with a $500 prize for maths and science, according to a local newspaper. Crooks worked in a local nursing home kitchen, just a short drive away from his home, the BBC understands, and state voter records show that he was a registered Republican, according to U.S. media. He is also reported to have donated $15 to liberal campaign group Act Blue in 2021. According to U.S. media reports, Crook was wearing a T-shirt from Demolition Ranch, a YouTube channel known for its guns and demolition content. The channel has millions of subscribers featuring videos on different guns and explosive devices. Law enforcement officials believe the weapon used to shoot at Donald Trump was purchased by Crook's father, the Associated Press news agency reports. Speaking on condition of anonymity, two officers told AP that Crook's father brought a weapon at least 6 months ago. The day after the shooting, law enforcement sources also told CBS and BBC's U.S. partner that suspicious devices were also found in Crook's vehicle. According to CBS, the suspect had a piece of commercially available equipment that appeared capable of initiating the devices. Bomb technicians were called to the scene to secure and investigate the devices. Okay. Now, they're trying to find a motivation from this guy, right? Like a manifesto of some sort or whatever. Okay. So having established Crook's identity, police and agencies are investigating his motive. We do not currently have an identified motive, said Ken Rojek, FBI Pittsburgh special agent in charge at a briefing on Saturday night said. The inquiry into what took place could last for months, and investigators would work tirelessly to identify what Crook's motive was, Mr. Rojek said. Speaking to CNN, Crook's father, Matthew Crooks, said that he was trying to figure out what the hell is going on, but would wait until I talked to law enforcement before speaking about his son. Okay. So here's the problem there's so many holes in this story. And one of the story parts was that, law enforcement was claiming that they had spoken with the parents roughly about a year ago, that these were normal people. The neighborhood that they live in is a, fairly medium range to upper class, neighborhood. He didn't have any criminal history. He didn't have any issues with, there were no manifestos found initially on his Facebooks or anything like that. So what would be the motive, right? And the fact that he was a Republican, it says a lot as well. Okay, it's just a whole lot going on with this whole thing. Yes, West Bank. I'll get into that in just a second. I appreciate that comment. And hey, Ray Triggs, I appreciate you being in the building. Happy Life, I appreciate you being as well. So let's start with some of the holes that are in this story. Okay, the biggest thing that stood out to me as a hole in the story was, first of all, like I said yesterday, the fact that they claimed that they initially found this person within 2 minutes of this shooting, okay, was just phenomenally crazy. I really didn't think that the shooter would be stupid enough to stick around long enough for anybody to find him in that location. It's clear that he was not directly at the rally, but that he was definitely some distance away, which law enforcement is actually corroborating today. They are saying that the person was some distance away and at a elevated location. Okay, this is what they're saying. Immediately, I thought about the Kennedy situation where, the guy was in a building, up at a higher level and shot down at this car. Okay. This is what I was thinking, right? When I first heard about this, is that this guy is a trained marksman. He was in another location and he was able to get that gun to shoot at his mark. Okay. It was that part of it initially that really got me, where they were trying to say that this person, was caught so quickly. Okay. The second thing that really got me now, and what they're saying today, is that this person was identified not through an identification of any sort, like a state ID or a military ID or a driver's license or anything along those lines, but somebody who had a DNA test. Okay. Yet, here's the problem with the DNA test theory. In order for you to establish DNA with a subject, right, there has to be a profile that's established. So you would have to collect DNA from this person, and then you would also have to collect DNA or samples of DNA from family members. Okay, somebody, whether it's a mother, a father, a sister, or a brother, somebody has to connect to that profile. And it kind of has to be from both sides, right? It has to be from the father and the mother's side. It's not just, you don't just come up with DNA. Like, the only thing that they would have honestly been able to do without the identification of this person is to identify that this person is a human being, and whether this person is white or black or whatever, based off of their blood. Okay. But they would never have been able to create a profile, a DNA profile, without having that person's sample as well as family member samples, right? Or something from somebody in that family, in order for them to, okay, well, hey, I'll get into that in just a second. Something from that family in order to identify this person. Okay. So I found that strange. And I also found it strange that they would be able to find this and just know who they were coming after. Okay. And so quickly after that, right? It does take a while for these profiles to develop. It's not like this is something you can do within 10 or 15 minutes. This has to be something that, will take a little bit of time to develop. This is why they're saying, it may take weeks, months to investigate this situation. Okay. Which is what they should have said to begin with. But we've got, them telling us that the suspect is dead. The suspect is caught. We know for a fact that this was the person. Like, they could have shot and killed anybody and said that this was the person. Okay. Like, let's be real. Okay. And that's the way that it looks to me. So I honestly do still feel like the suspect is still at large. And this is the way it's going to be. But because they started off telling us this story and telling us that this person has been caught, they kind of have to keep going along with the story. Okay. But those are the biggest holes in the story for me. It's the DNA profile that they came up with without any leadings of who to go down, which way to go, or anything. It's the fact that they claim that there's a body and this is the person. And this person had no criminal history, which would not leave a DNA profile in the system, right? This person had no issues. There was no manifesto. There was nothing leading up to this other than them being part of a YouTube page, that talks about guns and demolition. There's multiple YouTube pages like that. Okay. One of our very own, Spotum, has a page where, we talked about guns and stuff like that. I love that page. Okay. So, that's not a big deal. Okay. And then, there were people that went to high school with him. Usually when there's some kind of suspect with a mass shooting or something along those lines, there's usually something from his past that people can point to and say, yeah, I remember this, right? Or, yeah, this person behaved this way, or this person acted like this, or this person had these ideals, right? The guy that shot up the church in South Carolina, he had an extensive history with white supremacist groups. He had an extensive history with, dealing in explosives and things along these lines, but yet he had a manifesto where he actually spoke about killing Black people, okay? The guy that shot up the grocery store, he had a history of white supremacist ideologies and various things that were going on. The guy that shot up the school where the Mexican kids were going, where the Hispanic children were going, he had a history of, abuse and various things that he went through, and, things that people can identify from his past. Okay. This guy has no identification from his past. There's like the high school students that went to school with him are kind of shocked that they're saying that this is the guy. There's nothing leading up to any of this. And it's very evasive. The story today is quite evasive about this whole thing as far as like whether or not there were explosives found at the house, that they claim his parents live at, and all these other things. Like nothing leads up to this. Okay. And then the fact that the guy is a Republican. Okay. I mean, that doesn't make sense to me, that a Republican, a person that has been a Republican for years, who has had this ideologies even in high school and so forth and so on, why would he be now wanting to take, the person who, he looks up to, the person who he would vote for? Why would he be looking to take him out? I could see if it was Biden, right? But it was Trump. So it doesn't make sense to me that they're claiming that it's this guy. Okay. What I think is, like I said, there's two possibles, I think, here. Number one, they have no idea who the hell shot him. Okay. There is somebody that shot him, but they don't know who it was. And because they don't want to look weak, because they don't want to look like, we don't have our shit together, or, we don't know what's going on, or we were so complacent with what's, hey, Petty Betty, we were so complacent with what's happening in our country that we don't, that we're just kind of lackadaisical when it comes to terrorist attacks like this. Okay. That's what I'm thinking. I'm leaning towards that, right? That it would be that, or, that they do think that they have the right guy. They shot the wrong guy, right? And now they're trying to figure out how to backpedal from that. That's the only thing I can think of. Like I said, they either don't have anybody at all. They have completely made this story up. They put up pictures of somebody to just try to ease the minds of the American people, and ease the minds of the world, and, try to take the heat off of us because, our Secret Service has been acting very lackadaisical, right? Or, this guy really was shot and he's not the suspect. Okay. Those are the only two things that I can honestly think of. And, that's just kind of where I'm at with that. The Project 25 West Bank, I did talk about that yesterday. That is not a new thing. Okay. That's an agenda that's been around for a long time. As a matter of fact, when Reagan was president, they attempted to introduce that same thing to the country. There was another time too, I want to say Nixon, and there were other presidents as well. It's not, so it wasn't just in Trump's time that they attempted with Project 2025. So, even though those, and I did say that those are things that bring real fears to people, I do think that they do. But I think that people who tend to run with Trump tend to agree with Project 2025. They tend to agree with having a complete overhaul of the U.S. government. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not 100% against the idea either. I'm not against, I don't know if I want to do it the way that they are saying, right? But I'm not 100% against the idea of the Constitution being rewritten. I'm not 100% against the idea of, things being ratified and so forth and so on. But that's a whole nother conversation that I'm not willing to have today. But either way, it's not an old thing. But yeah, people are definitely fearful of Project 2025. Um, and the things that could come along with it, and some of the things that, some of the freedoms that we could lose based off of it, right? So I can see the fear that comes from it. But, again, this person being as though he was a Republican and clearly a Trump supporter, I'm not understanding how this particular person would be the suspect in this matter. Like I said, I simply believe that they don't have the suspect. They don't know who the suspect is. They're working diligently to find them, but they have the wrong person. That's what I'm thinking. And, I could be wrong, but, that's kind of where I'm at with that. Now, let me go ahead and go over y'all comments real quick. As a matter of fact, I'm going to play a quick timer because I want to go grab a water. And then I'm going to go over you guys' comments. And then we will go ahead and start right back with the show. Redbone, I do appreciate you being in the building. West Bank, I appreciate you as well as Divine 7. Me and Mines, we unlock. Ray Triggs, Happy Life. Appreciate you guys all for being here today. You said, Miss T. Pre, this sounds like a stage event to usher in draconian new gun control laws. Pay attention to this article. Yes, so let's discuss that a little bit. Definitely a thing. And here's the thing about the draconian laws, right? The draconian new control, right? And trying to usher in this whole thing. Trump is not the only one that they're trying to do that through, okay? They're trying to do this through the Biden administration as well. And what will end up happening is if Biden cannot fulfill his duties as president for the next 4 years, Kamala will be put in as president. And they are definitely trying to usher this in through her, okay? So I'm not sure if killing off Donald Trump is going to stop that whole thing. Okay. They are definitely attempting to do that. And that's unfortunate, but, I don't know if fear mongering amongst one another is going to do anything to help that situation. Right. I think that some things just kind of have to play out. And we just got to kind of see how things go. You know what I mean? In the meantime, we can fortify our families, fortify our communities, and do what we can for our safety and our communities. And that's kind of all we really can do about this situation, right? Ultimately, when we're talking about power in our government, generally it comes from the local governments, okay? So you would want to do your best in the election times for your local politicians, get them involved in things and so forth, and not so much care so much about the federal level of things, okay? Because this is kind of where they're talking about when it comes to that. If it comes to a problem, you do have the power still to put the right people in place. And I think that that's more important and better of a focus than it is to kind of focus on the federal government so much, right? Not that we don't want to do anything about it, but I think that this is kind of more of a thing that we should be looking into. You said boom, yeah, and I know you said boom at the part where I was talking about the DNA, right? The DNA profile. To me, it doesn't make any sense at all that they have this huge profile all of a sudden from this guy, right? And unless they have, a profile from family. So I think that that's been a thing. You say, yeah, but even then, how would they know his name unless he was already in the database, right? And it's been a really hard to even search a database that fast. Exactly. There's no way that they got that done that quickly. Even if it was the president, even if it was, the former president, any of that stuff doesn't make these systems and these things move faster. It just does not. So yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Robbie did mention that 23andMe has been collecting DNA profiles. I've been told y'all this. Yes, they have. But again, how would they know where to go, right? How would they know what to look for when it came to this guy? And who's to say that anybody in his family actually did that, right? It would have to be somebody in his family that would have had to actually take the 23andMe test, right? In order for that to be there. That is a possibility though, right? That is definitely a possibility. But the chances of that being how they came up with this that quickly, it doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't to me. Hey, beautiful. I appreciate you being in the building. Stephanie says, or if his family is in the database, they've had to run the database, find the match, and they talked to the family and they gave him a name. Yeah, like they did all this stuff in less than 24 hours, right? They did all of this. They did a DNA sample, a DNA test. They ran the profile. They found the family. They identified the suspect, found the family, talked to the family, had set up where the family lived. They knew all of it. Just no, guys. Like, no, okay? I'm just having a very hard time with that. Like I said, unless this person would have been, in order for all of this to have happened, this person should have been right there at the rally and been shot right there in front of everybody, okay? That's the only way that I would believe that any of that should happen. But I just don't believe it. I really don't. Hey, Petty Betty, I do appreciate you being in the building. You said many traditional Republicans don't really like DT. Okay, Donald Trump. Okay, so that's a possible thing too, right? That, the fact that this person is, if this person was a traditional Republican, but there were friends of his that said that he was kind of like far with, he was like on the far side of this whole thing. So, that's kind of where I'm at with that. So we'll see, right? But either way, yeah, that's a possible thing. And we just talked about Project 2025. You said unless he's a tour diaries apocalyptic event type, set it off type. Right. You said the Boogaloo Boys are apocalyptic, restart the clock types. Right. Mm-hmm. And unless he's one of those extremists of that nature, I'm not really sure. Right. But like I said, I'm leaning more towards guys, and like it is what it is. Call it a conspiracy theory or whatever you want to call it. But I am honestly leaning towards that they don't know who the shooter was. What's up, RT? They don't know who the shooter was. They have no idea, and they're still trying to find him. And when they do find the shooter, they ain't going to tell us. Okay? Like, they're not going to let us know, because they definitely have to stick with this whole story that, they found this shooter and that the guy is dead, and that, hopefully this story will go away in the next couple of weeks. Okay. And that's kind of what they did. That's the way I'm looking at it. That's my story, and that's what I'm sticking to. Okay. Now let's go ahead and get into this next topic here. I think I want to talk about Kips' return. Okay. Let's talk about that first, and then we'll get into Brooke and Pills, because that story was crazy, guys. And yeah, I got a couple of things I want to break down about that without 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 revealing what happened in her members only. I do want you guys to go over to the members only, take a look at it. Like I said, it is 99 cents. If one of the mods can put a link to S. Hutchinson's channel in the chat box, I can see if I can find it real quick. That way, if you guys don't know what it is, I'll just go ahead and look for it myself. Because, child, listen, it is crazy what happened on that channel last night, okay? And the story that came forth. All I'm going to say is this. I've heard from the beef sector that S. Hutchinson is very similar to us around here, where we definitely go by receipts, okay? We don't play them type games where it comes to just playing around and pretending that, people did this and people did that they didn't actually do, and so forth and so on. We don't play them type games around here. We definitely hand out receipts, and we definitely will make things very clear to you what's really going on. Okay. We don't pretend. We don't just, point fingers at people and so forth and so on and just say that this happened and that happened. And that ain't what really happened. Okay. So make sure y'all go over and hit this link and go over to S. Hutchinson, pay 99 cents to go ahead and get you guys a membership. I most definitely suggest that anybody, before they go cussing anybody out in the beef sector over this, or before you go making assumptions that, this woman is lying on Brooke or anything like that, that you go and listen to the recording, because she actually recorded the conversation between her and between Brooke Valentine, okay? So you will need to go over there and listen to that before you go off on anybody, and damn sure before you go off on me, because I'm going to tell you the truth, okay? Now, before I get into that, though, I do want to get into the story with Kip and his return to the sector, okay, which I found fucking nuts, okay, and fucking crazy. Shout out to RNT Entertainment. He definitely put this information out there. We were definitely talking about this the other night. So for those of y'all that do not know, Kip has finally returned back to the sector, but not in ways that, we would have expected, okay? Some of us expected Kip to go over to the likes of someone like G Gates, or the likes. Yes, I can see you. I can see you. Yeah, you said Shelly always keeps receipts. Yeah, I see. I see, child. Okay. Well, anyway, some of us expected him to go over to the likes of G Gates to tell his story. Some of us expected him to go over to Alledged to kind of tell his story, but he never showed up in any of these spaces, okay? Where he did show up was 2 fucking spaces, and one of them was Corey, okay? And the other one was ZX. Now, most of us in our sector don't watch ZX. We don't have any, any connections with him. Lately, we've been kind of peeking in because of some people that have been going over there. But most of us don't watch him, right? We're not interested in what he's talking about. We don't really care, and it just is what it is. Even though he's been trying like his hardest to get our attention lately in our sector, none of us are really going, right? We're just not interested in what the fuck this nigga got to say, okay? Or what his opinions are of anti-Afro, because none of us really care what his opinion is, But either way, there's been a couple of very interesting conversations that have happened over there. And one of them was Rev G, which we will talk about during the Chronicles, the AFW Chronicles coming up. And the other one is Kip, okay? Now, Kip's conversation with him, I found to be hilarious, okay? I really did. And I'll tell you guys why. He said some things in that conversation, and he also said some things along with Corey that I felt was just so fucking funny, okay? Now, Corey's, issue, I'm going to talk about that for just a second, because I don't particularly have a problem with Corey. I've never had a problem with Corey or Marie, right? I just had issues with what was going on between them and with what was going on between me and Mize, right? I had an issue with that. I spoke on that. I ended up falling out with me and Mize. Me and her are cool now. We good. We have an understanding with each other. I never got any pushback from Corey over that, right? He never really said anything to me about that. But I did have, something to say about it on both ends. But one of the things for sure and two things for certain about our sector, we can go visit whoever we want to, right? We can go and talk to whoever we want. We can go to whoever's channel we want to, even if it's one of your ops, okay? And there shouldn't be anybody that should have anything to say in regards to that. We had a big problem with that a couple years ago where, I'll give you guys an example when Breaking the Culture, who, by the way, y'all, I apparently got another week left before I get dragged by this bitch because she apparently needs 2 weeks to come up with a well enough orchestrated drag for me in order for her, to drag me. I don't know, you know what I mean? But, if a bitch want to fucking drag me, she can just turn that shit on and drag, right? But apparently she done made an announcement to the sector, which she done took down like a bitch, that she needs 2 weeks to come up with something to say about me. Okay. So, okay, bitch. Okay. Have at it. But either way, that's off the subject. But the bottom line is, a couple of years ago, something like this had happened between me and her. Okay. Where I was in Alan's channel, and because Alan was dragging her, she felt as though I shouldn't have been in the chat. She even acknowledged that, I wasn't talking shit. I wasn't saying anything about her. But it's the fact that I had said hello in the chat to Alan and had spoken to other people in the chat that somehow I was in the wrong for being there, okay? And that kind of sparked a major conversation amongst the sector where we were saying, like, who do people get off telling people where they should be, right? Is it a thing where people should be able to tell people where they're allowed to go, what space they're allowed to be in, who they're allowed to listen to, and what's going on and all this stuff? And it reminded us of the AFWs and how the AFWs had spent years doing that, where, you're not allowed to go in this chat. If you're caught as an AFW or somebody that hangs out with the AFWs, if you're caught in one of the quote unquote ops chat, right, that makes you now a quote unquote op. And now, you can't be around. We can't talk to you. We can't fool with you like the Jehovah's Witnesses do with their families when their families don't want to be Jehovah's Witnesses no more, right? That's kind of what the AFWs do. And that was kind of the same mentality that Breaking was trying to come on with me, right? And, I made a big stink of that. Like, how dare you tell me where the fuck I can go and whose channel I can be in and who I can support and this kind of thing, right? So I wanted, this to be a reminder to Corey of that, okay? Even though you may have fallen out with me and Mines and Grown Man, and probably for good reason, right? And they fell out with you for good reason, right? It doesn't matter. Regardless of any of that, people can still come to your channel, right? Like if I go and hang out at Grown Man or me and Mines channel and I want to listen to whatever they're talking about, and then you spark up a live and I want to come over there and listen to what you're talking about, that doesn't mean I'm taking sides between y'all, right? It just literally means you are part of this sector. You are a content creator. You have turned on your mic and you want somebody to listen. And so I'm listening. That's it. It doesn't mean any more or any less. And I'm going to need people to stop trying to dictate and police where people go in the sector. Okay. Like Nikki can go wherever she wants to. If she fucks with you and sends something for your child a couple years ago and then goes over and fucks with me and Mines and also hangs out and supports them, what's wrong with that? We're grown. We're adults, okay? We don't have, anybody that's over our head telling us where we're allowed to go and where we're not allowed to go. We're in a free fucking country, at least for now, okay? And so therefore, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And if your feelings are hurt over that, that's a you problem. That's not a me problem. Like, that's just kind of how I feel about that. If any of the women or any of the men want to go anywhere in this sector that we choose to go, that is our choice, okay? Nobody else is paying my internet bill. Nobody's paying for a new computer for me. Nobody's paying for no new devices for me. You're not paying for my Wi-Fi, none of that shit. So therefore, you don't have a motherfucking thing to say about where I decide to go or whose channel I decide to, to pop up in. And that's just that. And, that's just how I feel about that. So, I get it. I get that you have an issue with them, but you do not get to police where people go. You just don't, okay? And it doesn't take away from them supporting you, okay? Like literally it does not, okay? That is a very childish way of thinking of things that, somehow if I, support this person and this person doesn't like that person, then I just can't be over there. If I'm not in somebody's chat, or if I don't hang around, or I never come around, I never catch your replays and stuff like that, it damn sure ain't got nothing to do with any of y'all. It's because I don't want to be there. You understand? It's because I'm not interested in what that person's talking about. That's just what it is. Ain't a damn thing not you, or not you could do to make me stay away from somebody where I want to be. Even if they were talking about you, even if they were dragging your kids, even if they were disrespecting you, it doesn't fucking matter to me. This is YouTube. This is the internet, okay? We don't have to be tuned into any of this shit. So just like that person, you felt that person should not have been tuned in and watching, the same way that you knew that they were tuned in and watching is because you were there tuned in and watching as well, okay? So therefore, you don't have nothing to say to anybody else about where they go and where they support and who they support. And that's just where I'm at with that. Let's move on to the Kip and grown man thing, and how convenient it is now, right, for Kip to want to come around talking about grown man to ZX and to Corey and to all these people, but yet he's been absent for at least a good month or two out of the sector, okay? Some people just never get over the past, okay? Like, no matter what goes on, no matter what people say, hey, Princess Sheba, I appreciate you, and Propane, appreciate you. Sam Rowe, I appreciate you being in the building as well. Some people never get over the past, okay? The whole blowout between Grown Man and Kip happened every bit of 2 to 3 years ago, okay? Maybe even longer at this point. And so, at this point, it seems like Kip would be over it, okay? It seems like he would move on from these people who have hurt his feelings so bad, And it's funny because the people that don't move on from situations, that don't know how to like laugh about a situation, or, just kind of, have light banter about a situation, even if it was fucked up and, in the long run, but, towards the end, you're, just kind of laughing about it, jokey about the situation. People like that, there's something wrong, okay? And usually the wrong thing is something that you need to do some soul searching over, okay? Like, usually it's because somebody said something to you that was so true, right? That was so accurate that it bothers your soul that much, that a person that you dislike would say something so accurate about you, okay? That is kind of what I feel has happened between Grown Man and Kip, and why Kip is 3 or 4 years later not over what this other man had to say about him. A man that he's never met, a man that's not in his life, a man that has no connections to anybody in his life, anybody in his circle, anybody with his business, or anything along those lines. But yet he is still so bothered by this person that he's willing to go and make an ass out of himself in a whole nother sector, talking about another grown man and what that man said about him 3 or 4 years ago that he can't get over. Like, I'm going to need you to do some soul searching on that shit, Kip, and get your life together, okay? Because at the end of the day, if whatever that man said about you is still bothering you, it's probably the truth, okay? And the truth sometimes will set you free, all right? You got to get out here. You got to embrace the truth, and you got to do something about the truth, okay? The truth about you has come out so much in this sector that you can't even show your face in the sector, right? You got to go over to the safe spaces who aren't going to bring up your 3 domestic violences, who aren't going to bring up the fact that you abandoned your children, the fact that you have been a failed businessman for multiple years, the fact that you have multiple debts on your credit, and so forth and so on, the fact that you still owe D. Durrell thousands of fucking dollars and whatnot. All of this stuff, you don't want to talk about any of that. But yet you want to find a way to make yourself the victim every fucking time. And you've been doing that for years now, to the point that you are behind the scenes creating havoc, creating issues, and creating circumstances that put other people in some vulnerable positions, right? That you're opening up, finding people's information, looking up people's shit, and so forth and so on, and passing that shit around in order to come into these persons' lives and be diabolical in their lives, right? Because you're too much of a bitch to just stand up to them in person. You're too much of a pussy to just stand up and have a man-to-man conversation with these men. Do you understand what I'm saying? Rather, you'd be behind the scenes like an anti-Afro, just, pretending that you don't know anything, but yet you're the one passing out people's shit. Yet you try to act like you're not an AFW. But let me tell you how I know that you are, okay? It's the fact that nobody has been really talking about you. Nobody's been talking about this situation. But once the situation came up with Grown Man, here came AAS running to her brand new fucking friend, quote unquote friend, right? Telling her friend, you should interview this guy. It was Anti that orchestrated that conversation between you and ZX. We know this because we know goddamn well you're not watching nobody named ZX. You're not watching anybody in the beef sector, in the black sector, in any of them sectors, because none of them sectors matter to you. And guys, don't mind the sound out front if you guys do hear that. There is I had issues with my sidewalk in front of my house after the winter season was over, where there was like some issues there, and I'm trying to get that repaired today. So I'm having that being repaired right now. But either way, the bottom line is you had no thought of any of this, until Anti came in the picture and wanted you to link up with this guy to have this conversation. What you failed to understand, Kip, okay, is that none of the people in that sector give a fuck, okay? They don't fucking care. So much that if you look at that man's chat and see what people were talking, okay, it was literally the AFWs and maybe a couple of people who don't know shit here and there, okay? Regardless of how many people watch the show, regardless of any of that, most people I've learned from information that was sent to me, from, people that came up in my inbox letting me know about ZX, most people I know from that sector don't fuck with that nigga. They are literally watching him for a train wreck, okay? So they don't fucking care about your story with Grown Man. They don't fucking care about any of that shit because most of them wanted to see Grown Man whoop that nigga's ass, okay? That's the part you don't understand, sir, okay? So again, you got Anti sending you on a dummy mission like she's been doing for years and like you've been falling for years, and you keep taking the fucking blame and the fucking heat for it. So it is what it is. The final thing I want to talk about you, Kip, is how you said that the sector is responsible for you and Shakim's breakup, right? And I want to surgically break this down for you for just a second, sir, because I think you fucking forgot. Shout out to Stefan, because it was just a few months ago that Stefan revealed to the sector that Shakim owed you money, okay? And, that Shakim owed him money, okay? And we were trying to figure out where that information came from, how that information got leaked, how that information got out there. Turns out that you, Kip, were behind the scenes talking shit about your boy that you miss so much. Your mans and them, that the sector is responsible for putting a wedge between, right? How would anybody have known that information? How would Triggs have known any of that information if you hadn't been running your mouth about Shakim and then in front of the scenes and in front of Shakim acting like you were Shakim's friend? See, that's where the breakdown started to come in, okay? Shakim was all good. He was cool. Everything was cool until then. And then he realized how much of a snake you fucking are, okay? Then it came down to, the whole situation of the money, right, that you were giving him and how the money that you were giving him had strings attached to it, right? You remember? You remember how, you know, with the Kip thing, with the Carrie Ann money that you sent, that there was actual strings attached, that he had to pay you back, that this was all a play for the sector? You forgot, Kip? You forgot how you didn't want to support this man in his next endeavors over in the beef sector. You didn't want nothing to do with that. As a matter of fact, you were very, very vocal about that behind the scenes in regards to how you felt about this bitch ass nigga going to a motherfucking sector full of gay motherfuckers. And you didn't want to talk about that motherfucking shit. You wanted to keep it on grown man and the motherfucking sector. And because Shakim abandoned you and went over there and decided he didn't want to do this no more, you had a problem with him. That had nothing to do with the sector and the sector driving no wedges. No, that was you being a messy, dusty bitch. That's what the fuck that was, okay? And I just wanted to remind you of that, because what you're not about to do is come over to our space and rewrite history over here. You could go do that shit in an irrelevant sector over there, an irrelevant channel like ZX's channel if you want to, but coming over here with that shit, that's not what you're going to do, sir. We're going to keep shit in perspective. We're going to talk the real about some shit, and we're not going to pretend that you've been innocent in this situation. You were never a friend to Shakim. You were always on some bullshit. You've always been a snake to him. You've always had ulterior motives for why you're doing anything for him, whether it's buying shoes for him, sending money to him, or anything else that you've done. And we're going to keep the perspective exactly where it is. Okay, we're not going to pretend over here that somehow we're responsible for your bullshit and that we're responsible for, you know, your fucked up behavior towards who you call your friends. Okay, and that's just where I'm at with that. Let me go ahead and go over y'all comments real quick, and then we are going to get into the Brills situation going on, child, because it's a lot happening over here. You said she getting the Netflix writers to put her a script together. Yeah, they got to hurry up and get something together for me, because, you know, they don't want me to put her ass in the fucking dirt again. Okay, that's what the fuck that is. But bitch, I'm probably not even going to respond. If this bitch takes 2 weeks to come back and say something, and it's funny, like, I can't even hear the message, because by the time I get up out my beauty sleep to even hear that she said anything, and then I go over there to listen and the fucking video is gone, bitch, you could kick rocks. Obviously, you ain't got nothing to say to me. So, you know, that's just where we at with that. You said they in the room back there at Netflix working round the clock. Okay, that's what they need. They got to. Fucking with me, okay? You said the floor is covered with Red Bull cans. They working in shifts to get her drags just right, okay? Sam Rowe, I appreciate you being in the building. Princess Sheba, I appreciate you as well. Ops Lincoln up, child. You said T-Pre and everybody. What's up, Propane? Appreciate you. Okay, it was 2021 when he dragged him. Okay. And Keeper, I appreciate you being in the building. Rex, what's going on? Appreciate you being in the building, bro. You said, Stefan, he got upset at me this morning. Child. You said, T-Pre, I'm still for the cussing you gave me that I never heard. Adults know how to move on. Okay? I'm just saying. We know how to get the fuck over some shit. And that's just that. You said there's several people that obsess over people here, though Kip ain't the first and won't be the last. That's true. You said, I guess I'm an op now. Let's link up. Okay? You said, hey to QT. You said, how so, Steph? You said, true, Stefan. And everybody's just saying hey to each other. You said, Teresa. You said, hey, Teresa, I appreciate you being in the building, girl. And you said, the QT. What's up, Slander? Appreciate you being in the building as well. You said, I said we was having a good time, Stefan, right after he showed up. Okay. You said, I have my notifications on, Stefan. You said, he asked if I was okay and to mind my business, child. You said Kip was leaking Shakim's business. Exactly. That's exactly what was going on. He was leaking his shit all over the fucking place, and it just happened to get into the wrong hands. And then that got re-mentioned to the sector, and he couldn't backpedal and pussy pop his way out of that. That's what happened. That's what happened, sir. You said slander hubby. You said Auntie DMO. You said facts T-Pre. You said hey to QT. You said, but that dummy Shakim turned on me like I did something wrong instead of addressing Kip. Right. And then turned around, a few weeks later and actually did go to fuck off on Kip because Kip wasn't over there buying memberships and stuff for him and, supporting him like that. And the money that he was sending him for these quote unquote memberships, Shakim had to pay him the fuck back. Like, he was doing this shit as a play for the sector, but he knew damn well that, he wanted his money back. Broke bitch, shit. You said beef sector called Kip Shakim sugar daddy, so now he refers to them all as gay. Right, exactly. You said call that nigga Kim, keeping it messy. Okay, you said the Chronicles forever lives and no amount of dragging will default it. Just saying. Exactly. Bitch, it didn't take me 2 weeks to come up with that shit. Like, that's just that. But either way, if it takes the bitch 2 weeks, I mean, hey, let the bitch have it. That's how I feel. All right, y'all. Let me take a quick break. We're going to go ahead and get into the Pillz show in just a moment, guys. Let me see what I'm going to play you guys. All right, let's play this one. So when I was listening in last night to S. Hutchinson's channel, shout out to her. Like I said, they call her the queen of receipts over there, and child, I can see exactly where she gets that from. I was really taken aback. I'm not gonna hold y'all, right? Like, at first, I was really trying to listen in because I just kind of wanted to see if there was anything that was in that. The storyline itself is pretty interesting. Right. Let's go over the storyline for just a second. I don't really want to talk much about it because that is beef sector business. And I don't really like to bring a lot of beef sector business over to my channel unless it, involves somebody in our sector. Okay. So, let me go over the storyline just a little bit. Basically, there is a story of a woman named Brooke and a guy named Malik over in the beef sector. They've been together for 16 plus years and they broke up. And in them breaking up, there was a For the Love of Brooke show that one of our very own Pillz was on, and he actually won the show, and he started dating Brooke according to them from the show. Okay, so it's been like an up and down tumultuous ride since then. Everybody's just kind of been, online talking about their relationship, talking about, what's going on with them, whether or not, it's appropriate, whether or not Malik should get involved. Malik has gotten involved. He has made a couple of appearances from a Binary's channel to some other channels talking about this whole thing. And, now he was on Pillz show, what was it, last night or the night before? And they were having a conversation. I think it was last night. They were having a conversation. And child, this is just a whole fucking hot, skipping fucking mess. Okay, it really has been. I've been trying my best to support the situation, but I've been having a really hard time doing that just because of the nature of the whole thing. I've been married before. I completely understand the sanctity of marriage. I completely understand how, marriage is a contract that, it's not just something you can just up and walk away from. Even if, you're separated for years, even if you absolutely hate the person or whatever, it is not something you can just get up and just go and leave. And that's just the end of it. There are things that have to be dissolved. There are things that have to be resolved. Okay. And, it just is what it is. And just having a dating show and going on a date and going to a vacation with somebody is not going to make the marriage go away. Okay. Ultimately, if somebody has been with somebody for years like that, there are feelings involved, there are emotions involved, and everything. So, at first, when I was first looking at the story, I wasn't sure how to take it. But over time, I started to realize that, obviously this man, Malik, obviously still has issues and, obviously still has feelings for his wife. And, he's going to fight for his wife. Okay. I can't blame him, knock him for that. I can't feel any type of way because she chose him and she stayed with him for 16 years. Okay. For whatever reason that was, she chose to stay with him that long. And so it clearly would make sense that he would have feelings, that he would have emotions, even though he's trying to appear like, he's so hardcore, he don't care and all this other stuff. It's clear that he cares if he's jumping on panel to panel talking about this same story, right? So, that's kind of where I'm at with that. And, with the sanctity of that relationship, I don't want to discuss their marriage, right? I don't really want to discuss what, the ins and outs of that are, whether they're wrong, whether this is wrong, or whether that's wrong. What I do want to discuss, though, is the details of what Brooke said in regards to Pillz and in regards to Malik, okay? And we're going to go over that right now because Shelly made it very clear that she tried to tell Pillz about this. Pillz, you my boy, you my brother. I'm always going to have your back and always support you, okay? I'm a mod over there. I fuck with you. I've been fucking with you for years, and that's just where we at, okay? No beef with you at all. But I got to tell you like it is because Shelly most definitely made it clear that she attempted to tell you what Brooke was saying about you, okay? And, at first I was looking around for some text messages. I was looking to see if there was some solid texts or something that would prove, that she actually said this. Oh, she had something much better, baby. She had an actual recording of Brooke talking about you, okay? And I listened in on that last night. I encourage you, Pillz, to go over there, buy yourself a 99-cent membership to S. Hutchinson and listen for yourself what was said. Now, there's two things that was said, and perhaps you can answer this question better than we can, but I'm definitely going to discuss those things. Brooke definitely talked about her real feelings towards you. She said that you're not her type, okay? And that she had intended to break up with you in Vegas. These were her words. This was not Shelly trying to prompt her to say it. This was not anybody else saying it or anything. And it was the way that she said it. She said it in a very cunning and kiki and way. Like, I was planning on breaking up with him when we get to Vegas anyway. That's how she said it, okay? He ain't really my type anyway. I'm not really, this ain't really a thing. And then she went on to say, and this is the part that I think maybe you can clear up. She went on to say that you actually knew that, okay? That you and her have never been really kiki, laugh, ha ha, lovey-dovey behind the scenes, and that, y'all were just doing this for content. That this whole thing was for content, okay? And that you knew as well that this wasn't a serious situation between y'all. Perhaps that's something you did know, okay? But that isn't something that most of us knew about, right? We were listening to you talking about the relationship, listening to you, listening to her talk about the relationship, telling us she's a managing mod over there and she's, she ain't letting no other bitches come between y'all and you ain't letting no other niggas. This is the kind of conversations that y'all been having. And so we're thinking that you guys really are developing some kind of relationship, even if it's quick, if it's fast. But, this is what we're thinking. But these were her words, okay? Her words were, no, we're not serious at all. There's nothing between us. He is very aware of what's going on, that Pillz and me know, that this is a play, that Pillz and me know, that this is a thing, and so forth and so on, okay? She also said that Malik was aware of it, that her and Pillz aren't very serious, that she's not serious with Pillz, that Malik was aware that she intended on breaking up with Pillz over in Vegas and so forth and so on. And that's just kind of how that went. Now, she also said there were three things, guys, three things that she needed from Malik in order for things to be right again. Okay. Now, before I get into that, I do want to say that there's a few people in their sector who have said that they've run this play multiple times in multiple spaces. Okay. That this is not the first time that they've run this type of play when it comes to their marriage. Whether it's a money grab or whether it's an attention grab, we don't know. But this kind of thing has happened multiple times. But when it hits home with us, this is when we kind of want to talk about this shit. Okay. If it was anywhere else, I really wouldn't give a fuck. But it's the fact that it's one of ours is why I want to say something about it. But there were three things that she needed from Malik in order for everything to be peachy creamy and okay again between her and Malik. Number one, there was a house that they wanted, that they were trying to get before he left the family home, okay? There was a particular house that she wanted to move into, and she wanted him to get that house again. It turned out his mother had an issue with it or somebody, and also that he had issues with her keeping her cousin in the house, okay? These were the real problems that were going on in the marriage. It had nothing, it wasn't just YouTube and all this stuff. There were actual, issues that they had between each other, which I don't really want to discuss of whether it's right or wrong because this is their marriage, okay? But either way, these were the things that were happening in the marriage. And, he left because he just didn't want to have any parts of that anymore. But Brooke, there was a particular house that they were looking at that they were supposed to be moving into as a family. And that is the house he needs to go get that house. Okay. Also, she wants a public apology from him. Okay. So she wants him to go live or go on one of these platforms and publicly apologize to the people for disrespecting her, for dragging her about this baby, for dragging her about the marriage, for dragging her about Pillz and all these other things, okay? And, dragging her finances, all these other things. She wants a public apology from him. That's the second thing. And the third thing that she wants, Pillz and everybody else, is a brand new wedding ring, okay? Because the ring that she had from him, she threw it away. These are her words, not mine, not Shelly's, not anybody else, not anybody in the chat, not anybody on the panel. It was Brooke herself that specifically said these are the three things that she would need in order for her relationship with Malik to be on the up and up again, and they would be perfectly fine, and everything would be good, and they would be back together, okay? So it's clear that, this whole For the Love of Brooke story that she did on Ness's panel, trying to get these men to date her and all this stuff, it was absolutely clear now at this point that all of this was a ploy to get this nigga to come back home, okay? To get Malik to bring his ass back home, to get Malik's attention, to get him to understand, that she can go on and move on with her life. And if he don't want her to, he better bring his ass to skedaddle back home, okay? That's pretty much what I got from that. And I'm not saying that she's wrong for that, right? This is her marriage. She has every right to fight for her marriage, whatever way she chooses to, okay? Now, do I think she should have been more upfront and open with Pillz about that? Yes, I do. And that's if she wasn't in the first place, right? It's possible that she was. I don't know. I wasn't there listening in on their conversations. It's possible that she was open and upfront with Pillz and saying, hey, I'm just doing this for content. I'm just doing this to, to get over on Malik, to piss him off. I need you to help me do that. You know what I mean? I hope you got a couple dollars for helping her do that, right? But at the same time, at the end of the day, I don't fault her for doing it because this is a marriage. This is her relationship, okay? This is kind of where they stand, okay? And, people do weird shit. If they've been together 15, 20 fucking years, they kind of work in sync with each other at a certain point. And, they just kind of do shit, a certain way. And, that's just where we're at with that. But, I hope that, Pillz, that, you're not really heartbroken over this situation. I hope that you're good, right? I'm pretty sure that you are. considering the fact that you've never met her, you've never seen her, you ain't had a chance to be intimate with her yet or anything like that, which brings on a different set of feelings when you become intimate with somebody. But the fact that none of that has happened, I think that she'll be fine. I think that she'll survive from all of this. But the bottom line is that was some crazy shit. Okay. And yeah, I was pretty surprised to hear it. But at the same time, it just is what it is at this point. But it gave me a better perspective of Brooke, right? It definitely gave me a much better understanding of who she is and kind of how she operates and kind of how she does things, right? I know that there are people that have questions about whether or not this baby exists or not. I personally don't think it does. I don't know. That's beef sector business, though. I don't really know. But from what I've seen and the information that's been presented in regards to that, it doesn't appear that there's a baby. It appears that Malik is making it sound like there's no baby. And also, there was a receipt that S. Hutchinson showed last night where between Brooke and Malik, where Brooke had sent S. Hutchinson some text messages between her and Malik. And Malik specifically talked about, how she's a good mother to their son, how, she has a child, she has a son to raise and a son to take care of and stuff. And so she needs to do the right thing. Not one time did he mention anything about a daughter. Not one time did he mention anything about a baby or anything along those lines. All he mentioned was her son, okay, which is his son as well. And, it also mentioned Carter's dad, which everybody, I'm not doxing that little boy. Everybody around here knows that that's her son's name. So it's not like this is me doxing him. But it mentioned that as his name on there. It didn't have any of the other babies' names or any of this other stuff, just that one child. Okay. But even if Brooke had another child and he wasn't the father of that child, with him being her husband, okay, he would still include that child in, hey, you have children to raise. You have a new baby to raise. You have, our son and your daughter to raise. He didn't mention that. He only mentioned that one kid, okay, that child. And so that's kind of telling me, that's kind of damning, to Brooke. And, even though I don't think she intended for it to come out that way, I think she just wanted it to appear that Malik was, she was blindsided by the fact that he was leaving her, right? She failed to, she forgot that, none of that was mentioned in there, that he didn't mention anything about this daughter, okay? And so, yeah, it kind of looks like she is lying about that situation. I would hope that nobody would lie about something like that, but child, people lied about worse shit before, so I wouldn't be surprised at this point, that's what happened. But yeah, most definitely, Brooke was playing around. And I don't know, I can't say that Pillz was playing or not. All I'm saying is she was most definitely playing with you. Okay. And before you go cussing anybody out and cussing people out, because that's what Shells is saying, is that she tried to tell you about it and you went off on her. You know what I'm saying? Before you go off on anybody, you need to just go listen, bro. Okay. Because I promise you, what you're going to see and what you're going to hear, you're not going to fucking like it. Okay. It's not going to come out very well for you. So that's just where I'm at with that. But either way, don't forget about Dana. Let's talk about Dana real quick. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and end the show, y'all. So Dana is allegedly Brooke's ex. Okay. Dana used to sleep with Brooke like 20 plus years ago. And when Brooke got with Malik, she introduced Dana to Malik. Okay. And so Dana and Malik became friends, and I guess they was exchanging notes on the pussy or what, I don't know what was going on, but either way they became friends. And now this nigga called himself standing up for Brooke and Malik's relationship. Okay, why he has more passion than Malik does, I'm not really sure, right? Because Malik literally didn't want to go and meet Ray Triggs, okay, but Dana wanted to get in his hot ass car in Atlanta and go run through Atlanta and go and meet up with Ray Triggs. Okay. Now here's the thing, okay? I think we all know that Triggs is just a troll. I mean, he calls himself a troll. I don't like to call him a troll, but he's a goddamn troll, okay? And motherfuckers just kind of know that, you know, if he's trying to trigger you, you got to kind of pick up on that and you just move on from it, okay? You ain't got to go and engage with him and go back and forth. And then now you riding in your car in the heat trying to look for somebody who has never shown their face to anybody on the internet, okay? Like, I don't understand that whole thing. But either way, okay, that's kind of where I'm at with that. This Dana dude made an ass out of himself, trying to insert himself into somebody else's marriage, trying to insert himself into somebody else's situation, you know, and it's because he was inserted at one time himself. And now that he's been uninserted, now he's trying to find ways to reinsert himself into this. At the end of the day, sir, I'm gonna need you to have several fucking seats, okay? None of us give a fuck about any of that. And at the end of the day, a troll should never have got you out your body to that motherfucking level. Like, I don't get how these niggas be getting out their body like this, okay? But at the end of the day, sir, you look really stupid with that whole thing of going to meet up at some park and then meet up on Cleveland Avenue and all these other motherfucking places. But yet you don't even know what this nigga look like. You don't even know if he's using a voice changer. Like, you know nothing about this nigga at all, okay? I don't know how you thought that made you look like that nigga, how that made you thought that made you look like, you know, you a gangster or whatever, but you look like a whole bitch doing that shit. And I was cracking the fuck up the whole motherfucking time. But shout out to Dana anyway. You said, and plain and simple, Pillz fell for the okie dokie. Child. You said, I missed the recording. Damn. Yeah, y'all got to go over there and hit S. Hutchinson's channel so that y'all can go ahead and, yeah, here go the link again. So y'all can go ahead and grab that shit, child. So y'all know. What's up, P? I appreciate you being in the building. You said, I always knew it. I always knew it. Self for the okie dokie, and she played him like a flute. Like I said from the beginning, I don't have time for women problems that are married. Yeah, like, you know, you don't want to get involved with married people. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, it's just much more complicated, right? It's like, you know, it's even more complicated than just having a child with somebody. Even though having children with somebody does make a relationship complicated as well, marriage is not the same. It is very different. And it's not something you can just walk away from, you know, even if you spend a couple of years separated from that person. There's, you know, specific things that you got to go through in order to dissolve that marriage. And, you know, I'll tell you, that's why courts take so long to dissolve, you know, divorces and stuff like that. They give you time to really think about if this is something you really want to do. There's financial reasons why people don't divorce, you know, and all kinds of stuff. So, you know, it's not something that you just want to just do. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, he says, so Pillz was in on the play. Interesting. That's what Brooke says. Now, I don't know if she was or not. I think Pillz is the only one that can answer that question. But she's saying that he was. She's saying that he knew because, you know, they weren't really being lovey-dovey and kissy-kissy behind the scenes like that. You know, it wasn't really like that. That's what she's saying. So she feels as though, you know, Pillz already knew. But again, she didn't directly say Pillz knew, but she was, you know, insinuating that he knew. So, you know, I would like him to answer that, you know, whether or not that's the case. He said, dang, break up in Vegas. Yeah, she was making it. She was plotting on going to Vegas, having this huge breakup with him in Vegas, and, you know, and then reporting that back to Malik, you know, so because her and Malik behind the scenes are really working things out. They're arguing, they're going through their, you know, their couple banter, their couple relationship problems, but they're working things out. Okay. So, you know, that's where that is. He said, my parents have been married 49 years and 11 months. They didn't particularly care for each other about half of that, but marriage to them was more than just temporary emotions. Exactly. There's many, many reasons why people get married and why people stay married, right? Sometimes it's cheaper to remain married to somebody than it is to divorce them. You said, lucky for me, I didn't fall for the okie doke because they asked me if I wanted to join for the love of Brooke. I said, nope, don't have time for that. Okay. You said she pawned that ring, threw it away my ass. You said she threw it away and now wants another one. Child. And that's one of the conditions of, them getting back together. He has to go get the house that they wanted together. He needs to do a public apology, and she needs a new wedding ring. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. You said, what live did this Dana versus Triggs happen? Wasn't that on Pillz? That was on Pillz show. That was on Pillz show. So go over there and check that out over there. And this is S. Hutchinson's channel. Make sure that y'all go and subscribe. What's up, Too Big? I appreciate you being in the building. But yeah, guys, these are my thoughts on what I've been thinking in regards to Kip, Pillz, and Thomas Crooks. If you guys have any comments, you guys can leave those in the comment section. Make sure you guys do hit the like button on the way out. And guys, the AFW series will be starting on Tuesday. No, I'm sorry, on Saturday. I have the first interview coming up on Saturday, and then Sunday will be the second interview. And then after that, we will take it from there. I do have 6 interviews now. There was 7, but one of the people was not able to do it. However, they did give me permission to go over their story. And so I will be doing their story as well. And then I have some other things I'll be doing as well. Shout out to every single one of you who have contributed to this project, okay? I truly, truly appreciate you. You guys are being acknowledged, and I will be acknowledging you throughout the project, okay? Because I do appreciate you guys, and I will be citing where all of the resources come from for the receipts that we'll be showing throughout the AFW series that will be coming up. So again, that will be starting on July 20th, and we're going to go from there. All right, guys. Well, look, I will talk to you guys later. Hold on. Let me see something real quick. All right. I will talk to you guys later. I truly appreciate you guys for being in the building. Make sure y'all do hit the like button on the way out. And guys, go over and look at the, I'm going to play it for you guys real quick. I want to play the trailer for you guys. And then, because I thought the trailer was really fun to make. And so I want to play that for you guys real quick, and then we'll go ahead and get out of here. But bear with me just a moment while I pull up the trailer for the AFW series, because this is going to be a very, very, very interesting series that's coming up, guys. Okay. Hold on one second. Okay. All right, hold on one second, guys. All right, so I'm going to play this for you guys because I really want you guys, for those that didn't see the trailer, this trailer is so on point, guys, and I use AI technology to create it. I did not create this on my own. This was AI technology that supported this, and it was awesome. It was so on point. It's not even funny, child. Okay, like I only had to tweak a couple of things, but it wasn't much that I had to tweak regarding this. So yeah, you guys will be shocked at how on point this thing was. Okay, but all I had to do was put a few words in, and literally it came exactly that way. So bear with me just a moment. I'm going to play this for you guys real quick. All right. Hold on, guys. All right, let's go ahead and play this now.
Hey there, loungers. Let's get into a true crime story. Imagine living in constant fear, not because of a lurking shadow in the dark alley, but because of someone who tarnishes your reputation and invades your privacy. Today, we will dive into the chilling tale of the anti-fraud warriors. This isn't just a story of physical stalking, but a twisted game of psychological warfare. Meet anti-Afro Svengali, aka Andrea Stewart. She seemed like an ordinary woman, but behind that facade was a master manipulator. Andrea had an uncanny ability to infiltrate the lives of unsuspecting victims, attempting to leave their social and professional worlds in shambles. Her methods? Well, she likes to start with friendly interactions, gain trust, gather secrets, and then boom! She unleashes a barrage of lies and defamatory statements. Employers received anonymous tips, friends got shocking messages, and social media was flooded with damaging accusation. She was a ghost in the machine, never leaving a trace. Many of her victims found their lives turned upside down, and for seemingly no reason other than a simple misunderstanding or disagreement. But overnight, they would become the subject of scandalous rumors that jeopardized their jobs, professional careers, and strained their family relationships. Calls from unknown numbers, emails filled with threats, and the constant feeling of being watched. Countless were tormented, but every attempt to trace Andrea failed. Andrea was meticulous, a puppet master, pulling strings from the shadows. But why? What drove this woman to such lengths? Was power, the thrill of control, or was it something more sinister? She thrived on the chaos she created, feeding off the anxiety and destruction she sowed. Eventually, technology caught up. She has now been found and exposed. Now that she can no longer terrorize her victims in anonymity, it is now time to tell her story. So what can we learn? Be cautious about whom you trust. In today's interconnected world, our lives can be disrupted by those who hide behind a keyboard. This story is intended as a public service announcement, a warning to the public of the destruction that soon follows if you ignore the warning. Let us begin.